Hi Tubies, it's Johnny. I'm going to put a little video together to help out Stuart, who's the skipper of the SV Lucky Fish. He's about to tighten up the lashings on his Warham Tiki 38 and just going to offer him an idea of one way to put some really good tension on the lashings. The first part of it is a modern Truckies hitch. Now, in my opinion, the old style Truckies hitch was really painful. It's a work of art to tie, and it offers no advantage that I can see of the modern version. I'll show you. So this is the rope we're going to put the Truckies hitch in. At the top end, just imagine that's running off to somewhere that's tied off and not actually just hanging over the edge of a black curtain. So the bottom end, that's the top end is our standing part, the bottom is our working end. Just take a little handful where you want the loop to be, and you lift the working end and place it over the top of the standing part to form a loop. Now, quick knot instruction thing, a loop can be described in two ways. It can be right-handed, like this one is. It can be left-handed, like that. Well, we want a right-handed loop. And the second part of the description is that we want an anti-clockwise one, not a clockwise. If you look at the bottom layup of the loop and follow it, trace it round, so from bottom to top is anti-clockwise. If I tied it, whoop, can't do one now. If I tied it that way, from bottom to top is running clockwise. We don't want that, it won't work. So once again, I form my loop by lifting it up, making sure I'm still on camera. So now I have a right-handed anti-clockwise loop. That's the first part, not too difficult so far, I hope. Reach through the loop, lift up a very small bite from the standing end, and then just snug it down. Make it pretty, and you've got what effectively could either be described as a slippery overhand knot, or if you're using a marlin spike, it'd be a marlin hitch. Anyway, with your loop open, you now will take your standing part, wrap it round whatever it was you wanted to pull up tight to, go through the loop, and what would normally be the case is you would pull down on this and tighten whatever you were going to tighten up, and then finish it off one of several ways. Customarily you could just go through with a little slippery hitch and tighten up there. You'd lose a little bit of tension while you were doing that. You can, if you wish, go around the top and put in a single sheet bend or a slippery single sheet bend, and again you would lose a little bit of tension doing that. If you want to retain the full tension, although this isn't the most secure thing to do, for the purposes of doing a lashing, I think this is perfect. When you come up through the loop, bring the tag end out and then go back in through the same way and out again. Now I can't put a lot of tension on this, as I said, this is only draped over a curtain. But when you actually put the tension on here, what will happen is that this twist here will collapse. And as it collapses, it will lock itself over there with a little half hitch. And there'll be a massive, all the tension you put on your pull will now be temporarily locking that down. So for the purposes of doing a lashing, that's exactly what you want. You want a quick, easy hitch. Nice easy way of doing it. Just show you that again. You're going to come up, go round through, pull really hard, have it collapse, then you can just let go, walk away, do the next bit of lashing, come back and let it off. And to let it off, you just pull on that and it will come undone, and you do that and the hitch falls out. That's the modern version of the Truckies hitch. I'm going to show you that in real time now. So it's over once, through, up through the loop, round and pull. Job done. What did that take? 7 or 8 seconds tops. Now that's, to me, the first part of what Stuart has to accomplish. The second part, I believe, requires a separate line, and I'll demonstrate what I think would be the way to go if I was doing it. Unfortunately I don't own a Warham Tiki 38, so I can't show you with real lashings. Be back in a moment. If you will, you are on a nice sun-drenched beach standing underneath your Warham catamaran, which is ideally where you should be doing this work. This rope represents the lashing coming down from the beams, which we want to put under a great deal of tension. In reality, this would be a long coil going into a bucket to keep it out of the sand. We don't want to get sand on this. What we need to do is tie to this so that we've got some method of attaching to the trucky hitch. So what we need for this is a rolling hitch. Now, I've taught the rolling hitch to lots of people, and initially a lot of people find it very difficult. If you can tie a clove hitch, you're one step away from tying a rolling hitch. The only difficulty is with a rolling hitch, you have to tie it in a particular direction. Pull to the left or pull to the right. But I'll explain that in a moment. First I'll show you the hitch itself. I'm using a little bit of light stuff, and I hope it's big enough for you to see. But if you're tying a clove hitch, you would go over its own standing part, around the object, then up on the other side. The difference between the rolling hitch and the clove hitch is simply this. When you make your first crossing turn, just go over that crossing turn a second time. That's it, nothing more than that. Once you've done that, you come back up as you would finish a clove hitch, but we can even make it slippery by just pulling a bite through, which with the tightening up a lashing, I would be going with a slippery hitch. It's only going to be on for a few seconds while we get our tension. Now, I said about the direction. Actually, I'm going to pull that through so you can see it a little bit better. I apologise if this is very small, but on the side that has the two turns, when we pull, you notice that the line we're tied to kinks. It puts what's called a knuckle in it, and that knuckle will create a lot of friction, and it will actually stop our rolling hitch from sliding down. If we actually pull it the other way, our rolling hitch will eventually just slide up, because there's only one turn at the top. Two turns combine together to make a big bend, and if that didn't work, we could put 3 turns on, no problem, but 2 turns is usually enough. So this is the lashing coming down from the beams. I've tied a rolling hitch on, and the 2 turns are on the side of the direction I want to pull in. That's the hard bit. If you want to pull that way, you put the 2 turns on this side. If you want to pull that way, you put the 2 turns on that side. Simples. So all I have here is a single line. I've got a bowline on the end. I'm not going to demonstrate the bowline. I would hope that anyone watching this knows that one. If not, send me a mail. So now I can actually connect this up to our truckies hitch. Now, for the purposes of doing a lashing, the direction of pull, if we're standing underneath the boat, is actually going to come up. We want to be pulling down, right? So our truckies hitch is going to come up through here, go round, tie off, and then pull down. We could stand on the deck and pull it upwards, it doesn't matter. So what I would consider is I would actually put a rope right around one of the hulls or the armours, and I would have it so that it was angled from the ground, from the beach end, and I would be pulling down on this here. I'll just demonstrate if I can. I'm not sure how much of this we're going to get on the camera, but bringing the rope from underneath. So this will be our truckies hitch. I'll try and get it all on camera. I'll do my loop, I pull my little bite through. I haven't made a big enough loop here, but I would then be, so you can see it, I would then be pulling down on this to tighten this part. So effectively the truckies hitch I showed you to start with, I would arrange it so that it was pulling upwards instead of pulling downwards. So basically that's it. Now if I were doing this job on my own and I didn't have a back row of Polynesian giant rugby players to help pull on this, I would actually make up 2 sets of these. I would make up 2 of these little pudding lines, and I'd make up 2 of the truckies hitch lines. And what I would do is I'd pull down really hard on my lashing. When my lashing was fully pulled down to the tightness I wanted, I would take a second one of these, tie it higher up, as high up as I could get it, with another rolling hitch, I would put all the tension on that I could with my second Truckies hitch, just to hold it in position. Then I could let this one off. Easier if you put in a slippery hitch, but that's how easy it is to come off. So I would now be held securely up the top by the second Truckies hitch. I could then take my coil of lashing, go back round the beam, put it back in the bucket, tie this little chap back on again, put on my first Truckies hitch, heave down tight, knock off the top one, pull it down tight, and then when I've got the right tension, tie the top one back up to hold it, rinse and repeat. The time spent in tying 2 Truckies hitches and 2 rolling hitches would probably be about 30 seconds once you get into the swing of it, maybe a little bit less. You'd be tying 30 seconds for every revolution of wrap. And I actually think that that is going to be quicker than organising 3 big meaty blokes to step back, step back, step back, somebody hold it, tie it off. I actually think this would be far more efficient once you got into the swing of it. But hey, bit of fun. Got any questions? Send us a comment. Give us a thumbs up if you like it. And if you don't like it, give us a thumbs down and give me some hate. I really like the hate. This is Johnny, 4-3 Radical. Speak to you later. Cheers.